supportive girlfriend Sarah Geronimo watched Matteo Guidicelli's concert and it trended because of this. Sarah Geronimo's arrival in Cebu last November 18 to watch her boyfriend Matteo Guidicelli's 10th anniversary concert stirred a lot of attention from many netizens as it went viral all over social media.
Hi, Sarah! Ay, pwede po magpa-sign? Hi, be!
Sarah's arrival was unexpected, as she did not commit going to the concert in her earlier interviews. Sarah, who just came back from Japan after her own show, took the first flight to Cebu to watch Guidicelli perform at the Waterfront Hotel and Casino in Latag, Cebu for his 10th anniversary concert. One of her fans went on Instagram to share a picture of her at the Mactan Cebu International Airport. Ivan Karapiat, Guidicelli's best friend, also confirmed her attendance by posting a photo of them on his Instagram account. Sarah bagged the Best Asian Performer award from her recently concluded Japan show and is set to perform a show entitled The Great Unknown Unplugged on November 29 at Kia Theatre. Invite you to watch the video. Actor Robin Padilla strongly supports Marcos' hero's burial. Marcos is a hero. Movie star and local television personality Robin Padilla expressed his full support over the hero's burial of late President and notorious dictator Ferdinand Marcos at the saying that the former national leader was indeed a hero. Padilla's point of view comes from the idea that Marcos questioned the aid given by the United States for the Philippines. Padilla said on Friday according to CNN Philippines. He also mentioned that Marcos is one of those who fought against the Americans. Padilla unfortunately glosses over the fact that Marcos' 20-year-long regime was responsible for numerous atrocities and crimes against humanity. He also fails to understand how disingenuous Marcos' surprise burial was for the people who suffered under martial law brutality. According to CNN Philippines, Marcos was a close ally of the United States and then President Ronald Reagan during his regime. The Americans also paved way for the Marcoses to get out of the country during the People Power Revolution. Earlier this week, Padilla, who was convicted in 1994 for illegal possession of firearms, was granted absolute pardon by President Rodrigo Duterte. He can now enjoy his civil and political rights, which include his right to vote and right to run for a political position. As a known vocal supporter of President Duterte, Padilla also expressed support over policies implemented by the current president, including his war against drugs, restoration of the death penalty and charter change. Invite you to watch the video. Jameson Blake spills about controversial scene in Too Cool to Be Forgotten. Before MMFF steal the spotlight, Cinema One will have its own film fest set to run in Trinoma, Glorieta, Gateway, Green Hills, and Cinematheque in Cala, Manila on November 22, 2016. One of the most talked about entry is the movie Too Good to Be Forgotten because of a particular scene with Jameson Blake. This is the first movie of #member Blake, and he was kind of skeptical to do a scene where he needed to strip naked and masturbate in front of Calo Ramos' character, Felix. The 19-year-old rising star admitted that he had second thoughts in doing the scene but was encouraged by the director. "Yeah, I had thought twice about it, but I tried how to figure it out properly and stuff. It was hard for me actually, it was my hardest scene. It's kind of a struggle, but then I managed to pull it off, and that's what matters. I just have to keep thinking about it. When I'm on the set, I can do it. But when I'm off the set, I start to think a lot about it, overthink, I just want to get it done. I pulled it off, Naaman, and it was all good. I was anxious at people looking at me. It's my first time seeing my face on the big screen and it feels different. I learned a lot and I enjoyed the movie actually, but there are some thoughts in my head saying that I could have done better, but I enjoyed it." Meanwhile, his co-hashtags expressed their support for Blake and acting. Invite you to watch the video. PNPAFP confirms, Marcos to be buried in private, confidential burial today at Libingan NGMGA Barani. This morning, the Philippine National Police, PNP, confirmed that late President Ferdinand Marcos' body will be brought to Libingan NGMGA Barani, LNMB, in Taguig by this afternoon. Marcos' body was airlifted from Lig, Ilocos Norte 9 a.m. today. An unnamed source from the Inquirer said that as per the Marcos family's request it will be a private burial and was requested held in confidentiality. Military honors appropriate for the deceased will be rendered per existing AFP regulations. Notice was given to all concerned late Thursday. The Marcos family will have a statement after the interment at a place to be announced. The publication also obtained an internal memorandum detailing how the PNP should react to expected protests. Today, November 18, 2016, is the burial of the late President Ferdinand Marcos at the Libingan NGMGA Barani. All PNP deployed as civil disturbance management personnel be reminded of the following: 1. To strictly adhere to human rights. 2. To observe maximum tolerance. The rallyists will agitate us. Avoid being agitated. 3. To maintain peace at all cost. 4. To arrest those who will disturb peace. Invite you to watch the video. Is the American system showing signs of fatigue? Authoritarian regimes and dictators around the world must feel vindicated by the just concluded presidential race in the United States, the one-time champion of liberal democracy that had the habit of exporting if not imposing its political system and the accompanying values on the rest of the world. It is not so much the final outcome of last week's race as the entire democratic process that is being questioned or scrutinized in and outside the United States. In the run-up to the November 8 election, spectators of American politics were served with the tale of a contest between two candidates, both with problematic backgrounds and flawed characters. More negative revelations about the candidates emerged as the election day neared to raise serious questions about their credibility and competency of whoever is elected to lead the world's most powerful country. The American media had rightly if not unkindly described this as an election where voters had to choose between the lesser of two evils. When the choice fell on Donald Trump rather than Hillary Clinton, there was more indignation, both at the outcome as well as the electoral process. What went wrong with the system, many people asked. Is the American electoral system failing that we should question its effectiveness and efficiency in picking national leaders? Or are we seeing signs of fatigue in the system that has evolved in the last 2 centuries? To describe this as a systemic breakdown of the electoral process would probably be going too far, and would give pretext for countries to conveniently discard or to forget liberal democracy. Maybe it is worth recalling that just 8 years ago, the same system gave America its first black president in Barack Obama, who was re-elected in 2012. This year, the same system almost produced the first U.S. woman president. Still, the 2016 American presidential race, from the process to the final outcome, gives plenty of ammunition to those who doubt the ability of liberal democracy to produce great leaders. The timing could not be worse, coming as the U.S. superpower status is waning, through a combination of its own failing strengths and the rise of China challenging America's supremacy. Liberal democracy allowed America had its strong appeal in recent history that it seemed to be the natural or only course for any nation to follow. Theories were postulated about the first wave, second wave and third wave of democracy. There may not be a fourth wave, at least not until nations are convinced that this is really the best way to move forward. Enter the China model. Because it is a system that has proven efficient and effective, and certainly delivered the economic goods, it is now being touted as the better option than liberal democracy for developing countries looking for the right kind of nation-building model, including in the way they pick their leaders. One caveat about the China model, however: forget freedom and basic rights, the fundamental tenets that underpin liberal democracy. What matters is that the system brings economic growth and development and raise people's prosperity. The suppression of some freedoms and rights, big or small is relative, is the price nations have to pay to ensure stability, a prerequisite to development. Freedoms and basic rights can come later, if at all. In the China model, Political Meritocracy and the Limits of Democracy, 2015, Princeton University Press, author Daniel A. Bell shows how China introduced a meritocratic system that has produced leaders the nation can be proud of. The leaders that have come out of this system have consistently produced rapid growth rates that turned China from a large poor developing country to the second largest economy in the world in these last 2 decades. The system still ensures periodic changes of National Guard to prevent China from becoming a dictatorship. It offers a degree of predictability to ensure stability, a factor sorely missing in liberal democracies. It is not a perfect system by any measure, but it is a model that has evolved in China out of the socialist system that the founding fathers of the People's Republic of China launched in 1949. But if countries are not comfortable with the costs to freedom and basic rights that the China model entails, they should probably take another look at the U.S. democracy, and consider 2016 as an aberration rather than a system that is failing, a system that is suffering from fatigue and needing reforms. Americans need to look at the role of the political parties and the way they produce presidential candidates. Surely a country of 320 million people deserve better choices than Trump and Clinton. How their track records and flawed characters got past the political screening system is simply baffling. The U.S. electoral system, including the primaries and the conventions, is simply too long and too expensive for any country to emulate. For the price, Americans should feel they are being shortchanged by the system. This year's voters' turnout, estimated at 58%, is another reflection of the growing public apathy towards the electoral system or the candidates it produced. The 2016 American presidential race saw the ugliest and most divisive campaigns ever seen that inevitably would leave behind a sour taste, even if Clinton gave a gallant concessionary speech. The U.S. election has become one big and long political show of selecting the most popular, but not necessarily the most capable candidate. One could compare it with American Idol, but even this reality TV show has been pulled out due to viewers' fatigue. If this is the picture of democracy, then many nations around the world would want none of it. The U.S. electoral system actually has built-in self-correcting mechanisms such as the 2-term limits and the various institutional checks and balances to prevent the emergence of a despot. The First Amendment, and the independent media, ensure that people will always have the right to speak up and to be heard, even if they have made the wrong choice. But these may not be enough to restore the faith on liberal democracy and producing great leaders. This faith has further waned after the 2016 U.S. presidential election. One could also throw in Brexit as another product of a democratic exercise in the Western world that has gone wrong. In many countries, liberal democracy is no longer considered the best political system in selecting national leaders. It is not the only way forward. The China model has never been more attractive alternative in some countries, including Indonesia, still grappling with nation-building. America can help restore faith in liberal democracy by carrying out the necessary electoral reforms. It needs to show once again that democracy is the best political system in selecting leaders because it is based on the principles of respecting freedoms and basic human rights. Yes, America can be great once again. But probably it would be asking too much from the new elected president. The writer is editor, The Jakarta Post, Indonesia. This is a series of columns on global affairs written by top editors from members of the Asian News Network and published in newspapers across the region. Thank you for watching videos. You remember the likes and comments below. Thanks.